I'm Christy.
And I'm Kathy.
And this is The Psychic
And the Skeptic. Welcome back to part 2 of our first case file on the Stone Lion Inn. In part 1, we primarily talked about the history and what led us to investigating Stone Lion Inn, and that gave us quite a long episode,
yes,
right? So
did.
we realized, we've got a lot of claims and a lot of evidence to talk about, so we wanted to put it into a part 2 for you. So if you missed part 1, please go back and listen so you have the whole setup on the infamous Stone Lion Inn.
So initially, I had contacted Becky to see if she would allow us to come in and investigate because I had heard that the Stone Lion Inn was very haunted. And so she graciously opened the doors and let us stay in. And that's how I got to know Becky. And then over the years, we just kind of kept in contact. And every so often, we'd come in and continue to investigate the Stone Lion Inn.
So I know about some of the claims since then with what the team early on had experienced there before the team had evolved to what we currently have today, and of course all the public events that we've had there. But what were some of the original claims that Becky had informed you of when you first met her?
Okay, well, first, before I get into all of that, I will say that when Becky lived there with her sons, she had had enough of the activity. Like, they had so much going on, and part of these claims that I'm going to read are the same things that Becky and her 2 boys experienced. So Becky said, hey, it's time to move. And so she ended up purchasing another home for her and her sons to live in. Now, even the workers at the Stone Lion Inn there that help out with the murder mysteries and the bed and breakfast, they've experienced things as well as guests. So what are these claims? Well, there is a ghost of a man, a little girl, and a young woman and an older woman seen throughout the home. Things move on their own with nothing attached moving them. Voices are heard throughout the home. Shadows are also seen. Also, a burning cigar smell is smelled more commonly in like that front living room area.
That was a claim from Becky and the family, but you also had that experience as well, didn't you?
Yes, I think once or twice we did. And then someone had come in and said, well, it smells like rubber burning in here or something like that because of the heater.
So smells are common or were common too.
Yes.
Okay.
But that's not exactly what we had smelled when we were in there.
Okay.
So, but knockings are heard. Footsteps are also heard, especially hallways and then on the stairs. So in the courthouse suite, supposedly a little girl pats people on the face. And then also being touched and being watched are very common. In fact, Becky told me that so much of this activity would happen there that she's literally had guests get up in the middle of the night and leave because of the activity.
Wow.
They're like, nope, I'm out. Yeah, so I mean, that's the basics of the activity. Almost everything that you can kind of imagine that would typically happen in a paranormal case is what's occurred at the Stone Lion. I remember one night when we were investigating, we were on the first floor, and we were eating some dinner, and we were in what's the dining room, but back then, when it was Smith's Funeral Home, it was actually considered the viewing room. So as we're sitting there eating, we mentioned that sarcophagus earlier on. Well, the back of it is up against a wall, and I happened to look up, and I'm not kidding you, this sarcophagus actually was moved out away from the wall and was facing toward us. And we were
That's
all
a
in the
large
dining room.
object. That's like 7-8 feet tall.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's not like extremely, like it doesn't weigh a ton, but I mean, it does have some weight
it's
to
hollow.
it.
There's nothing in it, but yeah, it's a big object.
Right. And
I
so
remember
if
you telling me that story too,
Yeah.
but I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah. And if you go to move it, I mean, it's got wood floors. You're going to hear some sort of like.
Right. Did you
type
guys hear
scrape
that
sound.
at the time?
No.
You just turn around and bam, this
Yes. This thing is
Egyptian
staring at
thing
us.
is staring. That's
Yes.
pretty, yeah.
And so I called it out to the team. This is before you came on.
Yes.
But I called it out to the team. I'm like, guys, look, that thing has moved. And so we were all kind of like freaked out about that, but I swear to you, it
Wow.
moved.
Yeah. I mean, I believe you. So you had trustworthy team members that aren't trying to prank you or anything during this time, right?
Well, and we were all in the dining room.
Oh, everybody was there.
Everyone was
accounted
in the dining room.
for.
Yes, sitting there eating stuff in our faces.
Check off claim number 1.
Right,
Okay.
right. And I have no explanation as to how that
Be
happened.
like, Becky, this place is haunted.
Oh, well, I knew that after going there
just walking
the
in.
first time, right?
You probably knew 3 blocks down the road as you approached the place.
Right, yeah, for sure. So also on the first floor, I remember the kitchen was very, very active. And at one particular time, right there on the kitchen table, we were getting some pretty unique EMF readings, and it was mainly on one side of the table and not the other. And yes, we took all the EMF meters and was trying to check. So
this was
sources.
your analog tri-field recorder, right? So for electromagnetic fields,
yes, the old tri-field,
yes.
And so I happened to have video going and night vision, and of course, the camera is not as good as what it used to be.
Yeah, the old limited pixels in there.
Yes.
But no high def cameras.
Yeah, and we didn't notice this at the time, but on the right-hand side of the table, there was this cup, and it had some water in it. It was one of the investigators drinking it with a straw. And when I reviewed back the video, I happened to see that straw swirling around by itself in that cup. So the next time we went to the Stone Lion Inn, I'm trying to debunk this thing.
Trying to recreate it.
Yes, and try to figure out what
I've seen this video. It's pretty impressive, and we'll have to definitely post this to Facebook and Instagram so you can see the video for yourself. But as the skeptic, some of the things I want to know are, 1, was there any ice in the cup? No. Because we know ice, as it shifts, could cause a straw to move. Like that ice is melting, so it could cause that straw to move. So no ice in there?
No ice.
Any fans going?
No, there was no fans.
Any air conditioning units?
No, the house had air
kicking
conditioning,
on?
But no, it wasn't kicking off and on. And
I would think it would have continually had done that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And you would have seen more of that happening, with the straw within the cup and the ice.
Right. And looking at the video, you can, even though it's an older video, you can see that there's no ice in the glass, but still.
Yeah, I know. That's skeptic, and you
it's
just
still
has
water.
to ask.
Still got to know, for sure. Well, and people listening who can't see the video are going to want to know. Make sure that we accounted for that. But
yes.
I was not there at that time. What year was that?
2003, I think. Yeah, it was way early on. And we even took and tried to
bang on the table.
Bang on the table around it to try to get the straw to move, and we couldn't do it. We tried everything that we could think of, literally, and I have no explanation for this that I can come up with thus far.
It does make for a really cool video, so you'll have to check it out.
And in addition to it, remember, we were also getting EMF readings, so that's dual evidence for correlation.
Right. So at the same time, you had spikes, and this EMF recorder, the tri-field, sits stagnant on the table. So it should not be fluctuating with anything like appliances in a kitchen.
Right. And it wasn't near anything like the refrigerator or the freezer or anything like that. It was just in the middle of the room. Right, but it would have been,
what I mean is, like, it would have been showing you a constant high reading.
Oh, yes.
It wouldn't have been fluctuating baseline 0 and then spike out of nowhere. Yeah.
Correct. Yes. Well, then another time we were sitting in the main living room that's right by the front door, and we heard footsteps right there in the entranceway. And then we heard this female's voice say, "Hey," like that. Wasn't captured on our audio from what I can remember. But
so that was a disembodied voice then?
Correct. Yeah, because we actually heard it with our own physical ears. And then one night, it was late, and there was some of the team members that were up on the second or third floor. I can't really remember, but I just wanted to kind of take a little break, and I was laying on the couch there in the living room, and I suddenly just felt like something watching me, staring at me. And I opened my eyes, and boom, there was Edward. And I know we haven't talked about the different ghosts that were there, but here's this man that I've previously seen before standing over me, and he just laughed and then poof, disappeared.
So did you see that with your psychic eye? Or?
I think so, to be honest. Yeah. If I can remember correctly, yes. And this is just some things that I can remember, but like not everything that we've experienced there. So going up to the second floor now, one particular time we were just up there investigating, And I started to go into what's known as the wedding suite. And the way that this bed is placed into the room, it's right up against a set of windows. So outside of the window, there's the street lights. And so as I entered this room, I saw this woman sitting on the bed, and I could see it was like a dark shadow, a silhouette, because of the outside lights that's coming in. And let me
so
tell
it's
you
like it was illuminating behind her?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And it really caught me off guard. I'm not going to lie. So, like, I got a few feet in the room and then I got a few feet out because it caught me off guard. But right next to this room, there was also another room. And in this room, I happened to see in the doorway this shadow figure that was about, I don't know, if I had to guess, 5 feet, 10 inches tall in height. And it was just a black shadow. It was there and boom, it was gone. And that wasn't with psychic eyes. That was with my
Wow. Yeah, that was my next
eyeballs.
question.
Yes, I knew you were going to ask that. See? Ooh, I'm psychic or what? In the same wedding suite, there have been claims of this long, dark-haired woman. And
so that corroborated what Becky had told you.
yes, it did with the claims. So, and in the same wedding suite, at the foot of the bed, there was this trunk, like a wooden trunk.
Yes, I remember the trunk, yeah.
Yeah, and I set my audio recorder down there, and I was trying to get in the trunk to see if I could open it up, to see what was in it. And the reason for that is because we were having EMF fluctuations on some of our equipment. And so as I'm sitting there trying to get in it, and of course it was locked, there was this voice that came in and it said, "It's locked." Caught it as an EVP, no joke. So that tells me there's an intelligent haunting there because they're interacting with what we're doing.
Well, we can play that EVP for you too, so you can hear it for yourself.
Oh, yeah, let's do that. Now, I will give a little warning. Back then, I was still learning how to clip my audio, and so it is a very short audio clip. You can definitely hear the voice saying it's locked.
All right, let's play that for you. Okay, so I heard that, but it's right at the very end of that clip, and then it completely cuts off. So let's play that one more time. Listen carefully.
So this next one, Kathy, actually occurred to you and I. So the team was up on the 3rd floor, and we were doing a sit down, and we wanted to go downstairs to go get us one of those dolls to use as a trigger object. Do you remember this?
Oh, yeah. It's one of the dolls from that little nursery room off of the wedding suite.
Right.
Okay.
So you and I got the doll. I had the doll in my hand.
Right.
And we left the wedding suite and started back up the hallway to go toward the 3rd floor. The stairwell.
Right, the stairs
to
get up there, yes.
And that's when you and I both heard the footsteps following right behind us. And we turned around and looked, and there was nobody there. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Yes, and they were loud, too. Loud.
Yes, well, I think we even have a picture of us reacting to that.
Yeah, I think I got that posted on our website under the Stone Line Inn investigation.
So Ashley, our other investigator, she had a few personal experiences while investigating there. She really loves this location.
Yeah, one of them in particular, though, you remember that one that really rattled her?
Which one?
Okay, so she was...
Which one,
right? We were on the 2nd floor, and Ashley was facing the red room, and like the red room on the entrance to
Not to be confused with red rum.
Right, exactly. So this red room actually had a little sitting area that was right. So you walk in the sitting room, and then you turn right to go into the actual bedroom.
Correct.
So the sitting room had like these frosted glass windows. And there's the outside streetlights again, that kind of like shine inward.
Yeah.
Well, Ashley saw this figure, like the shadow figure, go across from the right side over to the left side. And she could see it through the frosted glass.
So it was like it was outside the windows?
No, on the inside of the windows.
In that sitting room.
area.
So she was in the hallway looking at those windows.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's like it was an old porch of some sort that was closed in because there was internal windows to that sitting room area.
Yeah, and I kind of wonder if maybe some of that was when they turned it into apartments and then tried to restore it back.
Could have been. But yes, I know Ashley hates that area. Every time we go there, she's like, "Oh, that's where I saw that shadow."
And Ashley, she doesn't usually get rattled
she's
easily.
like me. She lives on the skeptic side most of the time. So
yes,
we are kindred spirits like that.
So then we also had, Gary and Curtis actually had an experience, and I know Gary's no longer with the team, but I can't remember which one of the rooms that it was. We all heard like this little, like a tink, like on a metal bowl or something sound in one of the rooms. And so we went, I think those two went to try to go recreate it or find the source of the sound, and they were able to find it. I can't remember if we figured out if it was paranormal or not, but the main thing I'm getting at is afterwards, they were inside the room, and after, trying to debunk it, they both heard like a heavy boot step coming toward them from that hallway area. So second floor, you hear a lot of creepy footsteps, and there's even been claims of like a ball bouncing. They think it's the little girl that's bouncing the ball in the hallway.
There's no ball there? Because I know sometimes on investigations we bring trigger objects and things. If we suspect child spirits, we'll bring balls to see if some of it moves.
Yeah.
So, this was just a sound. It was like a disembodied audio.
Yes. And Becky doesn't keep stuff like that in the hallway.
No. We just bring stuff. We've brought a doll that moves that crawls.
Not only did she move and crawl, but she farted too and laughed. I remember that doll.
Yeah.
And she's motion activated.
She moved on an investigation once.
Yeah.
Of course, as the skeptic, my first thought goes to the batteries. Batteries are running low. Toys will misfire. So I would immediately just assume that's the case unless I put fresh batteries in the darn thing myself. Right. And then it just sits there all night. So.
Well, and we tried, if you recall, we tried different toys, we'd bring little toys in to try to see if we could get her to interact. And she was able to set off numerous of our EMF meters in different areas of the house.
So some other claims on, if we're going through the floors.
Third floor?
On the second floor still, we had a public investigation one time where some of our investigators and our guests had been up on the second floor, and they were hearing tapping. So Becky had some antiques. She has them all throughout the property. And in the hallway where the stairs are, she had a table with an old-fashioned typewriter. Mm-hmm. And some guests and our investigators heard some tapping
like clicking
behind them, some clicking. And it took them a minute to figure it out, but they realized this is coming from the typewriter.
Which is a claim. Well, really, one of the claims that's
One of the claims
witnessed
was hearing that tapping, but we later figured out, I came up there and was looking around. We were trying to recreate that sound. Mm-hmm. And when you tap on the keys, or if you lightly move them, they make a little clicky sound. And so we realized, okay, so that's interesting. That noise was coming from this typewriter. But after some time had passed, we saw that as people press on those keys, the little hammers get stuck all up at the top. So if you ever, as a kid, had an old typewriter, kids like to bang on the keys, and if you press a whole bunch of them all at once, they get stuck at the top.
Yeah.
So I think people were pressing the keys, trying to entice spirit to do some tapping on the typewriter. Mm-hmm. Those keys had got stuck, and what they heard were the keys gradually falling. So they had left the area, and then the thing is, this was debunked because I went in and made those keys stick in that upright position, and we stayed there and watched to see if they would fall. And they did, and they made that noise. So there are a lot of things that happen in this property, in this location. Then there are other things that occur that we can debunk. So just because the typewriter turned out to not be something paranormal doesn't mean that Ashley didn't see an actual shadow or an apparition, or that all these other claims have actually not occurred.
Do you remember also you were talking about, some of the public events and stuff that we did there? Do you remember the photograph that one of our guests got in that little small side room off the Cordial Suite? Do you remember that? I don't even know if we got a copy of that anymore.
No,
we did at one time.
What was the picture of?
Okay, so she and her friend had gone in there to investigate that room, and the one lady slipped into, it's like this little passageway that you got to slip into, and if you're heavy at all, you're probably not going to fit through there very well. But anyway, she was just taking pictures of the room randomly, but she did say that she kind of felt something was in there. And as she took a picture it was like a dresser with like a, what's that, where you'd sit down and put on your makeup or something.
Yeah.
You got the chair and the mirror and whatever.
Yeah.
And so as she took a picture toward that way, you can see...
It's a vanity. Yeah.
Thank you.
It was just like, it's going to come to me.
All right. Better late than never, so they say. But you could actually see the partial apparition of a woman. and she was white, like, kind of like a smoky white type.
I don't remember
Do you
this
remember
picture.
that?
No.
Yeah, I remember it. Any other claims that you can think about on this?
Not
like
really on
major
the second
experiences?
floor. No, most of the time I didn't have a whole lot of personal experiences for myself.
Oh, I think that the second floor is probably one of the most active in this location.
Didn't you have a picture? The white mist. Where we have several photos of the mist.
Yeah, we got several different photographs that showed like a light anomaly and then a mist. And then we even got a video of this looked like a little light anomaly that was kind of floating upwards. And then it kind of goes to the left.
Yes, I've seen those. I've been able to debunk that since seeing those.
Of course you have.
I think we have them on on our website, but we'll post them on Facebook and Instagram so you guys can see too. But when we're working at night with infrared cameras, so the video can be explained in capturing IR reflection. So other equipment that investigators are holding can give off IR light that our camcorders will pick up in that night shot because they're using infrared to pick up this video. So we're not going to see that as you're recording live on the investigation, but when you go back and you look at the footage, you see all these lights show up, and it's created from the equipment in our hands. So we have to be wary of what our equipment is that we have out at that time when we go back and review some of that video. So the same thing on the photographs, though. You're not doing infrared on the photograph, but now you've got light like flashlights or other kind of indicator lights within the light field, light spectrum, that we can see, but reflect off of other surfaces, the plastic shiny surfaces of like your tri-field meter or whatever else you're holding is reflective.
But wouldn't that show up in every single photograph then, if that were the case and it was just
it all
reflective?
depends on the angle of how you hold things. So you have, in the pictures, you have the investigator with eyeglasses, plus she's, I think, holding the tri-field, which should be static.
No, it's a clipboard, actually.
Okay, yes, which had that chrome metal that's reflective surface, plus you've got a flash going off from a camera. So there's all kinds of reflective surfaces where the flash can bounce off glasses or off the clipboard and create this kind of effect in your photograph.
So how would you explain temperature fluctuations?
Well, those could be other things. You could have temperature fluctuations unrelated to the photograph.
Like below 10 degrees? And then also, how would you explain...
Not associated with the photograph. I can explain the photograph.
No, it was during the time.
Right. But it doesn't necessarily mean that mist was paranormal. You might have had paranormal temperature changes, perhaps. Right. But the photograph, I can explain away as being some kind of explainable light anomaly, like reflection or infrared interference.
Well, we had several different types of recordings going on at this time. I remember we got one or two EVP. In fact, I think I have a video of an EVP captured on video at this time. Then we had temperature fluctuations that were below the 10 degrees mark. And then we also had the light anomaly on video. We had those weird light misty type photos going on. So, I mean, I don't know. There was just several different types of evidence that was recorded. And when we're investigating,
that we want to, before we call something questionable as maybe something potentially paranormal, we like to have personal experiences as well as equipment and as much that points towards evidence of paranormal occurring at the same time.
Right.
But there are some times where some of those pieces can be debunked.
Look, guys, she's busting our bubble again.
I will lean the other way. When with the video with the straw swirling in the cup, you also had EMF fluctuations.
Correct.
So that's a case where you have video, you've tried the debunking, there is no ice, so all the other explanations aren't there, and that leans more towards the paranormal. I still won't say it is, but I cannot explain that. But when you look at this particular case with these photographs and the temperature changes, perhaps the temperature change would be something paranormal. I wasn't there, so I don't know if the air conditioning kicked on. 10 degrees is a big difference.
Which caught our attention.
You know, there can be a bunch going on, but it just wasn't in these photographs. And I find that is the hardest piece to get evidence of. It's insane that you guys got that video.
Yeah.
That video with the cup and the straw, that's one of my favorites because, I mean, when you ever capture movement like that?
You rarely do.
Right.
And
but still photographs are really difficult because you don't have that movement with it. We're missing so much more to the picture.
Well, and if you notice, there's several of the pictures that, they're aimed at the same investigator.
Right.
And there's like several of them. So like I was the one taking the photos and I was just rapidly shooting them off as quickly as I could because, the theory
there was a lot going on apparently.
Yeah, that. And if something is truly paranormal, you're going to see some sort of change in those photographs. It's not going to stay the same. You're going to see some sort of movement or difference.
Right. When you also have video of IR reflection where if you were to take pictures back to back, you'd probably get that IR. If you had like full spectrum camera at the time, you would see several photographs showing this anomaly that's explainable. But yeah. Again.
No, I mean, I see your point. I think one of the things that intrigued me about this the most was that we had so many different, like a variety of different type of recordings, from EMF to temperature to audio to, the photograph. There was just a lot going on. And when do you ever have that? You really don't.
Right.
To get all that at once.
Right.
But I can see, on the other hand, I mean, we've talked about spirit photography in the past, and I could definitely see that. Yeah. So we'll get these posted though on our Instagram and Facebook pages for the Psychic and the Skeptic. You guys can go on there and take a look, and definitely give us your opinions if you would like.
Okay, so that's a lot on the second floor. So let's go on up those creaky stairs up to the attic on that third floor.
Here we go. All right, so I remember the first initial visit that we made to investigate the Stone Lion Inn. We were up on this third floor. It was about 6:45 p.m. And how I remember that, because I had it wrote down, or else I wouldn't remember it all those years ago. But we were just checking it out. We had heard the story about the closet, Becky's son opening the closet door, seeing the little ghost girl down there on the floor playing with his toys. So this is the area that we're talking about. So we're just looking in all the different areas. And when I do kind of like a walkthrough, I also do it kind of slowly, just so I can take in the environment. I can listen, feel, see if anything comes to me. So my investigators had already looked into the left side. There was a bathroom up there, but they had looked into the bathroom door, and they left it open for me because I was coming up behind them looking at the areas that they had already looked at. And so they were on the opposite side of the room. I looked in the room and in the bathroom, and then I kind of let the door, I didn't close it. It was still open, and I started to walk away from it, and I was about 10 feet away when all of a sudden that bathroom door slammed shut. And I mean, I've got the audio. It was recorded on my audio recorder. You can hear it. And I was like, whoa, and we're calling it out. But I will never forget that. That was such a cool first experience. That was my first experience at the Stone Lion Inn. So,
okay, well, hey, let's play that audio so the audience can hear what that sounded like.
Yeah.
Look at this hot water tank.
What was that? Camera, did you see that? Camera. This door just closed on its own.
Yeah, so it's really loud right there in the beginning. And then we let that clip roll a little bit so you can hear the reaction and the acknowledgement and the excitement in your voice. How this door just closed on its own.
Yeah, I was excited because I just saw it close and I was not expecting that.
Yeah, so finally something changed and you saw with your own eyes, right?
Yeah.
Because we've seen things in different places and wondered, was that door open? Was it closed? Where did we last leave it? And then you just saw it in action.
Oh, yeah. Saw it. Definitely saw it in action.
And I remember you telling me about that door when later on I joined the team and we had gone back to the Stone Lion. And you had showed me that door and we tried debunking it.
Oh, yeah.
There wasn't any explainable reason for it closing on its own. It's not like it had a spring hinge or anything like that.
Yeah, and it
was pretty heavy too, I think.
Yeah, it was. But you also had to like push on the door inward and
to get it to close.
Yes, and then it kind of had like this little click sound once you pushed it in. I remember.
So we've tried all the things. That's interesting. I didn't personally see that, obviously, but I trust you. You're my friend.
Oh yeah, I
believe
did.
you.
Trust me.
And
I would
we have
not
the
lie
audio
about
right
that.
there to hear it for itself. But you did not have that on video, correct?
Correct.
Right.
But you hear me in the clip saying, "Hey, camera,
bring it over."
Yeah, because I mean, I didn't know if anything else was going to happen with the door, or if it was going to like open back up on its own. Right. I was just trying to be prepared. Right. Of course, nothing else happened after that. Right. Wished it would have, but at least we did get that incident recorded on audio.
And that time when you and I were trying to debunk it, and you had explained the story to me, we were up on the attic and we had heard footsteps coming from the stairwell that's not far from where that door was.
Right. And when she said attic, she meant the third floor.
Well, yes, third floor is.
And that's a common claim that occurs. And I know there's been a couple of times that we have been doing a sit down or investigating up there, and you will hear what sounds like footsteps either going down or coming up those stairs.
Right. And they are, so here's the skeptic, they are the old wooden floors, the attic, and they do kind of have a turn in a tight hallway.
Oh, yeah.
So I wonder if humidity and weather can make those wooden stairs swell, and over time they pop. I mean, that would be the explanation. But I see your face.
A little heavier.
So there may be times where that's true, but then other times it depends on what you're hearing. Now, if you're hearing like straight up boots on the go and click, click, click coming up the stairs. Yeah.
That's what we heard, though.
Right.
So that's not going to explain,
Right. No, but I'm just saying in other times. Wood. Right. And I know, and as a skeptic, you have to consider that and go back, is that possibly it? But not in the pattern that what we heard at that time. Right.
And we also had different EMF fluctuations on some of our meters while we were up there.
Right.
And I know we did all sorts of little experiments up there with trigger items for the little girl, even Edward. And I know we haven't talked about those ghosts of the Stone Line Inn yet.
And the attic is pretty active. I remember Becky saying she hated going up there. She keeps her like Christmas decorations up there. But when the Houghtons lived there, of course, they had like 10 kids. And some of them were adult and moved out. But they used that attic space for the bedrooms for the children and playrooms. So it was very big up there. You probably could put a tennis court up in there. It was so huge.
Oh, yeah. Well, 2,000 square feet. Right. So, that's a lot of space.
Right. Okay. So we've talked about the first floor, second floor, and third floor, or the attic. We did not talk about the basement.
We usually go down to the basement through the servants' stairwell.
Right, that very back stairwell, right?
Yes, and I think we've talked about this in another previous episode, but those wooden stairs are very steep, and that last step, like they say, is a doozy. Right? So it's just not as, it's not the same width as the other stairs. And that was when one of my investigators, in fact, this is the initial night that we were there investigating, when she fell forward. She missed the step, fell forward, hit the pipe down there, right there at the bottom of the stairwell, and broke that pipe. And then my audio recorder got that female's voice that came in, and content warning, this has got a cuss word
in it.
Little
foul of language.
Right. Hey, it was not me. It was the ghost that said it. But that's when that ghost voice says, "Calm down."
Yeah.
So, because I was in a panic. I admit that, and I admitted that in the last one. So we did get that EVP, and I think a few others. I don't remember all of them, but I know this was a memorable EVP here.
It's a really good Class A, too. So let's play that again, because I think it's really cool.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
The piping broke on it. Damn.
That's the residual water in the pipe.
Yeah, okay, so there you go.
She called me a name. That's so mean.
That was you she was talking to?
Well,
the spirit, whoever this was?
I'm assuming, because, I was in a panic about the pipe being broke. It was like 2:00 or something in the morning, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, this is the first time something's gotten broken. I know, right? And I was thinking about how I was going to get it fixed. So, I was in a little bit of a panic. But she could have been talking about somebody else as well. But
who knows? But, that's so that's just as you enter the basement.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
So you did get the pipe fixed.
Yes. My dad came up, and it was like 4:00 in the morning, but we got it fixed.
Daddy
I called
saved
him
the day.
Yes.
All right. So what else happened in the basement?
Well, we're talking about the stairwell, right? And this is more of a recent switch in the team, when we had Gary on the team and
Ashley.
Yeah. So they were walking up the stairs. I was in front, and they were walking behind me, and Gary physically saw a bucket come off the wall, fly down, and hit Ashley in the leg.
This is like you're leaving the basement, going up the stairs?
Correct. Okay. To go back up into the kitchen on the first floor. And
I vaguely remember that story. That's from a long time ago. So Gary and Ashley joined the summer before I joined the team. So I think this was a time I wasn't there.
So was that like 15 years ago or something?
I don't
16 years? It was a long time ago.
They joined in that summer. So it was only a couple months before I'd been on the team. But I remember early on hearing they were still reeling over this incident and talking about it. Yeah.
And so I did question them when they mentioned it. I turned around like, okay, well, did you guys bump it to knock it off or whatever? And both were adamant that they did not.
Yeah. And that's why when we investigate, we don't go anywhere alone. Not because we're scared to go by ourselves. It's because you need another investigator with you.
Witness.
One, if you get hurt, that you've got somebody to help you, but two, to witness the activity. It's
correct.
Like, so, because Gary could have said, hey, I saw a bucket come off the wall, and like nobody else saw it with him.
Right.
So we trust each other, but it's still, you need that second investigator.
For sure. And then one other one, and I already know what's coming. I know you're going to say, oh, I can debunk this. And maybe you can.
It's another photograph.
Yeah. Photograph. So down in the basement, I don't know what direction that I was facing, but it was the back wall of the basement actually. And the basement's got windows in it.
Sure.
So I remember feeling like someone was watching me. So I ended up turning around and taking pictures, which was in the direction of this back window. And when I went to go look at the photographs of the investigation that night, one of these photographs in particular caught my eye because it looked like the partial image, maybe from waist up, of a little girl. And it could be matrixing or pareidolia, but I know you've seen this photo.
Right. And the reason I don't think it's paranormal is because the image is only in the window. It's not like it extends down the wall. It's only captured in the glass portion of the window. So to me, that's reflection. It's a basement. It's dirty. There's smudges on glass all the time in basements. So that's what I think it is. Again, not to say that you didn't actually have something paranormal occurring at that time. Yes, I'm the skeptic, but I'm an open skeptic. Perhaps
sometimes
something was going on, and that was just the wrong way to capture whatever evidence of it was. So maybe if you had an EMF meter, maybe there's a spike there from that. Feeling somebody behind you could have had high EMF around you. Or
no, wait a second. When we were just discussing the bordello room, I talked about like 4 or 5 different types of evidence, and now you're saying, well, if you would have had an EMF spike down there, maybe that would have been.
No, but I'm just saying, maybe you truly had a paranormal experience, but it wasn't captured in the photo. Again, photographs to me.
You hate photos, I know.
Yes, I can't.
I know, but we'll also post
clearly,
this picture.
But those are some of the things you look for in the window. So, like, windows are going to reflect. And people share photos from outside looking at, like they take pictures of a creepy old house and they send us a photo. And all you see is just the image is just in the window. And so maybe like the story is, oh, was there a ghost in the room? And, you look at proportions of the person in the window and it's like, okay, that's just pareidolia. That's your eyes trying to make sense of something confusing for your brain. So it goes to your memory and pulls an image like a human shape.
Tries
and that's
to make
very
sense
normal.
Of chaos.
Yeah, you can explain this with neuroscience, but the image in the window is like the images in the clouds. That's what pareidolia is. So,
and I will say that, back in 2003, when I did the website, I just put everything that we had on there and just left it open to interpretation.
Sure. Yeah. And people like to see and decide for themselves too. But.
Exactly. And that's what we'll do for you guys as well on our Instagram and Facebook page. We will put all these photos and stuff on there so that way you guys can check it out.
Okay, so there are 4 main ghosts that seem to be attached to the Stone Lion Inn that I've heard of.
Yeah.
So obviously this is your area of expertise, Christy. So I'll let you go ahead. Tell us a little bit about who these ghosts are. What do you think? What have you picked up on in your time at Stone Lion Inn?
I know that I'm not the only one that has seen these ghosts. But because like other people that come in and they stay overnight, do the murder mysteries, they reported it. But the 4, we'll start out with one. It's called, I call her Elizabeth because she told me that's what her name was. So oftentimes when people see her, she is a young adult woman, has long dark hair, often seen more like in the wedding suite. In fact, that's where I first encountered her because we were getting ready to come into the wedding suite room, and that's where I saw the silhouette of her sitting on the bed. Now, when other guests see her, they say, she's sad, depressed. So the wedding suite, of course, is on the 2nd floor, And I saw her sitting there, and she had a very heavy depression feeling, you know, when I encountered her. But she did. I had a little conversation with her, and she told me that she had lost someone that was very close to her, which would make sense with the depression feel. And she also told me that her family was very unhappy, didn't want to have anything to do with her. I kind of got the sense that maybe she was pregnant and had the baby out of wedlock, and this is why her family kind of shunned her. Now, she had a sister, she told me, who was the only one that really kind of accepted her. But she did end up like losing the baby, but was totally ostracized by her family. She did come into the Stone Lion Inn when it was a funeral home.
Okay, because that was my next question, because this doesn't seem to fit with any of the family members there. So,
correct.
Right. So it's like, who is she? She doesn't seem connected to the original homeowners.
Right. And I don't know how she died. If she told me, I don't remember. It's been a while, but I do know she told me her name was Elizabeth, and that was kind of her story.
Okay.
So there's another main ghost there. His name is Edward. He is often seen wearing a gray suit, and he has like this hat, and he's often seen reading a newspaper. In fact, one of the workers that works for Becky, Michelle, kind of that right-hand lady that we were talking about earlier, she had to go down into the basement for something, and she actually saw Edward.
Right. I remember this claim. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And then I did look into some of the local people in Guthrie, and I think wasn't there like a banker, Edward, from the Guthrie area in history, something. I mean, it is a common name.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. If I remember correctly, I think that was it.
Right. To find that connection. So all these ghosts seem to want to come to the inn, right?
Well, they were actually brought there. Like Edward, he died, and he was actually brought in when it was a funeral home. In fact, Edward, when I first encountered him, I saw him in the basement. And yes, he was standing there in his suit. It's like a Sunday suit,
Right.
But oftentimes people are buried in like their, their better
best
clothes.
outfit. Mm-hmm.
Right. But he told me that he loved cigars and he was a smoker. He did die of lung cancer. And, he was, again, brought in.
Right.
When it was a funeral home.
Okay, but now, why do they stay?
Well,
why would you stay
place
after, a funeral? I feel like spirits would attach to the places they loved, like their home or,
Well, some do.
Yeah.
I think it just kind of depends upon the spirit and their intent.
Yeah.
So, someone raised religiously might be scared to leave where they're at because,
and maybe that was the last point in attachment to his body.
Yeah. And, I'm sure you've heard that theory about how some spirits will stay around their body for a while because they
they're
hope
confused
they can,
or get back in.
Yeah, they want to get back in. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. That's a theory, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. So anyway, that's Edward. Now, he does like to play a few little tricks. He, especially on females.
Right.
He likes to sneak up
stories
on them and, I think it was like.
So this
pull
might be the
hair
spirit responsible for touching or.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, one night I was it was probably about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and I was pretty tired. The team was still investigating. So I went to the living room and I wanted to lay on the couch just to kind of like close my eyes for a little bit. And I did. And I started to drift off. And then I just felt like something was like right beside me. And so I opened up my eyes and there was Edward. And he was just peering down at me. And of course, I saw it with my psychic eyes.
Right. That was my next question.
I knew you were going to ask.
You're psychic.
Right. And so he was kind of like, boo. And kind of, laughed and then disappeared. So he is a little bit of a prankster.
He knew you were looking for ghosts. So, yeah.
Well, he should have known I was looking at the back of my eyelids at the time. I was tired. So, but anyway, there's also a young girl. And this is the one that people think is the Lost Holton girl, the one that supposedly died and was overdosed, but we've already talked about the history. But she is described as having like long brown hair, wearing about a 1900s period dress, seen all throughout the home, more frequently on the second and the third floors though. She's been seen like bouncing a ball or playing with a cloth doll. Now, she's the one that I mentioned earlier that likes to go up and pull the blankets up on the guests, especially in the court aisle suite, or like tap them on the cheek to kind of wake them up. So guests to the Stone Lion Inn have also like heard her laugh and heard her talk. Now we have as well when we were there. And I think when I filmed with Taps at the Stone Lion Inn, I was looking that up the other day. I think it was their season 14. I could be mistaken. But anyway, they actually got a little girl's voice recorded there. And I can't remember what that EVP was, but she appears to be around the age of maybe 6 or 8 when I saw her. And I did see her with long hair and in that 1900 periods dress. Now, she's never told me her name, but she did tell me that she's living there. And she is also fond of not only the cloth doll, but little tea sets. So when we would do investigations, I don't know if you remember, up on the 3rd floor,
right?
That little middle, I don't know, that was connected to like the air system, but it was
it was like a little table or something.
Yeah, right there in the middle of the 3rd floor. We would leave her little toys and different things. And she did tell me that sometimes she does get really, really lonely. So she does like it when people come to the Stone Lion Inn. She's very friendly.
Right. And I wonder, people just jump to the original family. And so maybe the spirit was seen or picked up on by other sensitives, and they've just made the assumption she came from the Houghton family.
Totally.
Right. And there was the loss of a child, but it was before they moved to the Stone Line, and it was an infant boy, not a 7-year-old girl. So, there could have been some confusion in telling a story over the generations. Yeah,
it's like the telephone game, you know what I mean?
Yeah, just with people from the area. But I know Becky had talked to the siblings, and I don't know how old those living siblings
were. Pretty elderly.
Well, no, I mean like at the time of... perhaps this 7-year-old sibling female had passed.
Yeah, they were probably so maybe really young.
They could have been really young, and maybe they were told this story through someone else.
Right.
And they're remembering it as their own memory, which that's a thing. Yeah. So, I mean, you can be told something by your parents their whole life growing up.
And you believe it.
Well, but you were told one thing and you remember it as your own memory, even though it was just something that was told to you. So, I mean, who knows? But it's really interesting. Like a lot of us in paranormal investigating, we don't like ghost children.
Right.
Right. Because it always makes us think, well, why are you here as a young girl? Did you pass as a girl? And that can go into some other theory on how they present themselves paranormally. Like, is this a period of time? Maybe this is somebody who grew up to be an older woman. Maybe it is Augusta, and she just prefers to present herself at her happiest time, which could have been when she was 7 years old, living in the Stone Lion Inn.
I mean, that's correct. It could be. It's hard to really say, for sure.
Right, of course. None of this is written anywhere, and we don't have proof of this ghost.
One thing that's always bothered me when we've encountered children's spirits is because I guess the way that I was taught religiously, it was like around the age of 12 is your age of accountability. And so when they know enough for right or wrong, they're pretty much responsible for their own soul, basically. Right. And so if that's the case, I've often wondered why the souls of children just don't automatically cross over. They're innocent unless they're here because of the sins of their parents.
Who knows? I mean, that gets way deeper than
it does.
My brain, but
right. And I know we won't go into that in this episode, but I've always just kind of
these are things that we think about when we wonder, who we get a reading from, you or anybody else, a guest psychic in a location, and they pick up on different things, and everybody's got these different spirits that they're seeing and hearing, and it's like, well, where does this all come from, right?
Right, exactly.
And that's my job as a historian on the location, so I can at least see, does it connect with somebody who's connected to the property, or is this a transient type spirit that comes in,
Well, one thing for sure, though, is there is a little ghost girl. Where she came from, how she's connected to it is unknown. But Becky's own boys saw her.
Right.
Guests have seen her. I have seen her. We've encountered her.
Right. And these are people who haven't talked and planned. They don't know each other and have all said the same thing.
Right. So she's there regardless of her origins, where she came from.
Right.
Well, and who knows, you know,
Right.
she also could have died as a child from an illness.
And it could have been
and brought in when it was
a funeral home. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, think about
The
all
floodgates
the
are open at that
diseases.
point. It's so hard to find a connection.
Right.
Because we've investigated places that were funeral homes before. So apparently activity is a thing with those places. And there's no way for me to dig in to the records and connect this spirit to somebody who's on record of having gone through that building, you know,
Well,
just
you
like
know,
rental properties.
Yeah.
It's really
and
hard to
something
connect
interesting,
things.
they talk about funeral homes. This is going to be from the psychic view, okay, the metaphysical, but they say that funeral homes are actually a good place for spirits to be able to cross over. And one reason for that is because, like, after someone dies, the theory is that the doorway, the opening, the portal, okay, whatever you want to call it,
Right.
to have them cross over stays with them, you know, for about a week. And if they don't cross over, then the portal closes and goes away. Well, if you think about funeral homes, right? Normally a body is brought right after death or shortly after death. It's brought to the funeral home. And if that's the case, where this light actually stays waiting on that soul to cross over, but they're there with their body. Think about why are our funeral homes haunted, right? Well, think about this. And other souls, you know, or other ghosts that are out roaming about, if they really are ready to cross over, where are you going to go?
Right.
Funeral home, right? Because of the light. So maybe this little girl was brought in.
Or maybe those that get trapped earthbound missed their opportunity.
Right.
And now they're stuck at a funeral home.
Right.
So I could see maybe they lingered too long and missed their opportunity and they don't know how to cross over.
Right. Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, that's a whole nother topic
Oh,
in itself.
you can theorize.
know?
This is why we have a podcast.
Right. So anyway, one last ghost that's there
Right.
is an older lady. So she's been seen about 19th century clothing, very grumpy, you know, and she doesn't really give off a welcoming or inviting vibe for the guests that are there at the Stone Lion, like her, you know, Becky's bed and breakfast guests. But when I encountered her, she was kind of the same way, not very approachable, very grumpy, but she kind of told me like she was a caretaker for the Stone Lion Inn. She's very protective of it. She feels
she doesn't
very
take any nonsense. Yeah.
Oh, no, not
you
at
better
all.
respect the space.
Exactly.
Right.
And if not, you know, you're going to have hell to pay with her, so to speak. So she will act out.
She runs a tight ship.
Oh, she does. She tends to act out. She'll throw things around the house when she's upset. If
Well,
she
now
doesn't
she's
like
making
something.
a mess.
I know, right? But it's my way or the highway.
Right.
That's kind of like her attitude.
Okay.
We've actually caught her voice, you know, I believe the woman's voice, either with her or Elizabeth, but because there's two distinctive type voices that are female. I do believe that she died of natural causes, and of course, again, was brought into the funeral home, the Stone Lion Inn, when it was a funeral home. So those have kind of been my encounters, you know, with the four ghosts. Yeah. You know, witnessing different things as the Stone Lion Inn. And again, one of the most haunted places in Oklahoma. I will stand by that 100%.
Right. And you're not the only one who says that about that location. It's,
right.
Many investigations have been done over the years and it's commonly talked about, but it sits there currently still there up in Guthrie, Oklahoma. So it is currently closed. It's not a bed and breakfast at the moment.
Right.
So
with Becky passing away.
Right. There's no guests going in and out of there at the moment. So it's interesting to think about how our spirits are handling the lack of visitors these days.
Right.
Right. But if you happen to drive by, it's a real gorgeous place to take a look at if you're in the area. But.
And I'll put a picture on our you know,
Instagram.
our Facebook and Instagram pages so people can see it.
Sure.
And of course, you know, again, we'll have all the evidence on there.
Right. And we'll post a video of the straw moving in the cup because that's super interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I cannot figure that one out.
Yay! There's one for the psychic.
That's probably
and
the only
0
video
for the
that
skeptic.
which again, a rare phenomenon should be something that's uncommon. Right?
Well, that's paranormal. You know, you can't really explain
it's not
it.
normal.
Right, exactly.
Right.
But overall, I love the Stone Lion Inn. It will always be one of my favorite places. I've got great memories from there. Even though I don't want to stay alone overnight
I would.
by myself.
I'll go.
Oh, I would dare you.
I'll do it.
We need to get that recorded and get that wrote.
It's recorded for posterity as we speak. And that wraps up our episode on the Stone Lying Inn. So if you enjoyed that, we plan on telling you more about other locations that are near and dear to our heart as investigators and sharing our experiences, maybe some evidence that we found, but particular to a location. And there's a lot of them out there.
That'll be our case files series.
Right. It's kind of like a series on case files. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and with that in mind, if you have your own experiences, or perhaps you want us to talk about another location that you're aware of, or maybe in your state,
Or topic.
right, we can research that and give you our thoughts behind other locations if we haven't been there ourselves. So email us at psychicandskeptic, all spelled out, at gmail.com, and let us know what you think, or write us your story and we'll share it on the podcast if you're willing. And if you want to check out photos and video of this location, we have some posted to our Instagram page at instagram.com/psychicandskeptic, and our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/OKParanormal. That is our investigation Facebook page. We also have a Psychic and Skeptic Facebook page that will post our episodes when they've become live, which is typically on a Thursday at 3 in the morning, the witching hour.
And we post other interesting stuff
right.
on there too.
And last but not least, the Oklahoma Paranormal Research and Investigations website is found at OKPRI.com, and that's where you can go into our case files and search for the Stone Lying Inn case.
Or any other cases that
Right.
you're interested in. Well,
Yes, and tell us what you think. So you can find us wherever you enjoy your podcasts, and thank you for listening.
Because the paranormal is the normal.
Not yet understood.